So, like, you know those girls that you see on, like, Instagram and TikTok, and they just have the perfect aesthetic, and it seems to come so effortlessly, and they do such cool things and have such cool interests, and they just seem really cool, and you're kind of, like, envious, and you kind of want to be more like them. Or is that just a me thing? Well, I thought it'd be fun this week to look at Book Talk and get a couple book recommendations from girls that just seem really cool, and maybe test the waters and see if I could be more cool. Who knows? I don't need to explain this. So that's what I'm doing this week. I'm gonna read cool girl books. So 3 books that I feel like I've seen mentioned on Book Talk a lot specifically are My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Tessa Moshfegh. This is the only one I know anything about, really. I know this is about a girl who decides to just sleep for a year and gets prescribed a lot of medications because she's sad. So I love that already. Then we have On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I don't know anything about this. I remember reading the back cover and thinking that was really interesting. So also a plus. And then lastly, I picked up Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion, because girls who read Joan Didion are so fucking cool. Like, every time I see a girl reading Joan Didion, I'm like, god damn it, why can't I be more like her? And I've never read Joan Didion, so I think this would be a really nice place to start, because I see this book everywhere, and also I just think it really fits with the video. So first I'm gonna pick up My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I'll check in and let you see how it goes. So you might notice that everything looks the exact same. That's because I picked up this book this morning on my way to class, and when I came back from class, I sat down and I finished the entire thing in one sitting. So it kind of messed with my filming schedule a little bit. I really loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was really close to 5 though. To be honest, the fact that I could just sit down and read it nonstop when I came home is a huge indicator of it being a really good book, because I honestly could not put it down. And also my reading has gotten to the point where that's a hard thing for me to do now. So like I said like 2 seconds ago, this follows a very rich, privileged white girl who decides that she wants to sleep for an entire year, and it'll be her year of rest and relaxation. So she gets like this dodgy New York psychiatrist to prescribe her an insane amount of medication, and she just mixes and matches and tries to sleep as much as she can. And it's kind of crazy because that interests me as like a fellow sad girl, but in terms of like plot, it doesn't seem like there's much there, and I feel like it would be hard to write a book about that, but somehow she does it. And somehow she does it to the point where it's not boring, and I'm interested and I'm invested. Like, the main character's just sleeping. She's not doing anything else, but I still want to pick up and read it, which I think is kind of crazy. Like I said, I was really tempted to give it 5 stars, but there are some things that gave me pause when I like sat back afterwards and was trying to think about it more critically. For instance, this book came out, I want to say like 2018 or something, like recently, within the last few years. And Moshfegh uses the R word more than once, and it's just not necessary. Like, there's just no reason for it. You could say the book is set in like 2000 and people were saying it then, but you don't need to say it in a book in 2018. And I'm kind of sensing that to be a recurring theme with Moshfegh, because in McGlue she used the F slur like constantly. And I don't really get it, and I think it's kind of a weak point in writing to feel like you need to use those words, because a real writer could still set the mood, still set the environment without that. I think also some of the stuff about the ending, which I don't want to spoil, it was just kind of like a weird thing to include. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, but aside from that, the writing was really amazing. It was really beautiful, really hard-hitting in some aspects, and very clever. I love clever writing, and you don't find it that often, to be honest. This book makes me really excited to pick up Moshfegh's other works, though, and they're definitely gonna go in my TBR. Okay, I've finished the second book, and that is On Earth Really Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I've been looking up everywhere online how to say this last name, and a lot of them are completely different, so please, if you know how to say it, let me know in the comments, but otherwise, I'm so sorry if I'm saying it wrong. This book. Holy fucking shit. So the best way to describe it is just what it says on the back. This is a letter from a son to a mother who cannot read. It's almost a coming-to-age story, but I feel like it's so much more than that. So you're following a young boy who is affectionately nicknamed Little Dog, and his mother and his grandmother are both Vietnamese. So, like, his mom can read. The whole thing is that this book is written in English, and she never learned to speak English, so she can only speak Vietnamese. Little Dog was the first person in his family to learn English, so this book deals a lot about being an immigrant and being different than everyone around you in like the town, because this takes place in Hartford, very white area, but also deals with so much more. It talks about intergenerational trauma, it talks about addiction, it talks about abuse, mental illness. There's so much in here. But then underneath all of these like gritty, hard aspects of life, there's still an undercurrent of love and human happiness despite all of that. This is I can't even talk about it. The writing is so good. Like, objectively, from the first chapter, I knew that this was objectively the best book I've ever read. Not to say it's my personal favorite, although I did really love it, but the writing alone, it's so gorgeous. I almost feel like it's a cross between a poem and a novel, because obviously it's not written as a poem, but the writing is so beautiful and so lyrical that you almost have to read it as a poem. I would read this on the subway going to school every morning, and at least once a page, I would just have to put the book down and think for a second about like a single sentence that he had written. I can't get over this. It's like genuinely a work of art. It is one of the best books I've ever read. I can't even process my thoughts on it because I'm just so shocked. I actually, throughout reading this, I was continuously sending my partner like little photos of paragraphs and sentences and just being like, what the fuck? Like, how do you do that? How do you use words that well? Because I clearly don't understand. I think this is absolutely a must read. I would also shove this in anyone's face at any time and tell them to read it, and I give it 5 stars. So after that, I'm on to the last one, which is my first time reading Joan Didion. I'm very excited. So I finally finished the last book of the bunch, Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. I'll give a quick little wrap up of this one, and then just some final thoughts as to why I think these books are so popular with, like, the cool girls online. So for Play It As It Lays, I actually feel like it's better to not give a description. I saw some reviews on Goodreads that said that, and I definitely agree with them. I think it's kind of best to go into it blind, and just experience it, if that makes sense. So here's what I will say. You follow the main character, Mariah, and she's fucking going through it. And I feel like that's all I really want to say. This book really touches on some rough subject area. And to be honest, I really agree with Lucy Dacus's review of this book on Goodreads, where she just says that it's depression incarnate. Like, this book perfectly captures when you just feel so depressed and like absolutely nothing matters to the point where you're detached from life. If you can think of that like Squidward gif where he's just going from place to place to place looking as like depressed as possible and not moving in the frame. I don't know if anyone's gonna understand this reference. It's like that, but like in a more serious, not SpongeBob children's TV way. I honestly think this is just a rough read. Like, I really enjoyed it though. It was a fun experience. It was fun going through it and not really knowing what was going on. I did not know a single thing that happened in this book. Like, I was confused, even though I was following what was happening, because they don't really reveal everything until the very end, which is really fun though, because I finished it and then I immediately started reading it again because I felt like it would give me a new perspective on the book. So I haven't finished a reread of it, but I really do want to reread it because I feel like it gives you the perfect opportunity to have that blind first experience. And then once you actually understand the book more, I feel like you could get so much more out of it. So I am excited to reread it at some point. Also, again, as a common theme throughout this video, amazing writing. Like, this is so fucking well done. It's honestly unfair. This is a book that I would 100% recommend. I think it's worth the hype. I gave it 4 stars. It didn't quite reach 5, but it's all just like subjective nonsense, like my rating system. So still a very solid read that I would recommend. And I think it's honestly even grown on me since I've read it. I feel like I could even bump it up to a 5. So then let's talk about all these babies. And why I think they're popular online, specifically with like the cool girl type. First, we've got My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This one makes so much sense. Like, so much sense. Of course, this is popular online. Number 1, sad girl. We love a sad girl. The internet loves a sad bitch and the sad bitch aesthetic. This book is also just like funny. I think I just honestly, at the end of the day, this is just the perfect book for anyone, like, that's very online. I think it really reminds me, to be honest, of like Tumblr at its peak, when everyone was on there reblogging like Lana Del Rey and posting like Arctic Monkey lyrics and like had their soft grunge blog. Like, if that was you at any point in your life, you would like this. And obviously that era of Tumblr was like really famous and really big, and people who were into that kind of had that mystique of being really cool. I think this just fits in perfectly. Even before I read it, like, this book makes sense to me to be so popular. Just the premise of like a girl who decides to sleep an entire year because she's like depressed. Yeah, this makes sense. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous also makes a lot of sense. First of all, it's got that cover appeal and like that perfect name, which just makes it perfect to like put in a TikTok video or to put pictures of it on Bookstagram and stuff like that. This one, honestly, personally, I thought it had the best writing out of all of them. I can't get over how absolutely gorgeous and poetic this book was. Every single page, there was a line that just made me stop reading and have to like gaze into the distance. And I'm not someone who usually gets affected like that from writing. So I think that makes a lot of sense, like why it's so popular, because it is just beautifully written and people love being able to pull out like quotes like that from novels. Again, this is also a very sad book that deals with like a lot of hard subjects, which I think appeals to the internet as a whole, or maybe just the kind of people I follow online and think are cool, because I am also like a sad bitch. Again, I think this would have done really well on Tumblr. I think that in the Tumblr era, there would have been girls like posting non-stop about this book. Lastly, we've got Joan Didion. First of all, it's Joan Didion, so like of course it's gonna be popular. It definitely appeals to like a literary type of girl, not just girl, but you know what I mean, which definitely are the kind of people that I think are really cool online, so it makes sense as to why I would associate this with like cool girls. Also, again, very well written, and it's got a sad bitch in it. Just the trifecta. It's sad bitch, well written, seems literary in some way. I think that can sum up all of these books and why I thought the people reading them seemed really cool. But again, this one does have just a bit of a leg up because it is Joan Didion. Like, she's already a name in the literary arena. So there you have it though. This was really fun. Like, these books I loved. So honestly, maybe you should listen to people online blindly without giving any critical thought, because clearly the people online that you think are cool know more than anyone else in the entire world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Goodbye.